one of the main focuses that we have is of giving a customer an omni-channel experience. A communication service provider is not only giving connectivity these days, they are also providing, let's say, fixed broadband services. They are providing OTT services. What we focus on is the real convergence, I think convergence of experience across the different services. If operators are having a LLM of their choice, we can connect to them, or we have, of course, our own, let's say, language models that we support. It's all about use cases, backend, whether you're using, agentic AI, using MCP server, whether you're using A2A. Frankly, it's more of an architectural discussion, which is important. But from a business standpoint, I think it's more about focusing on actual operational improvements, business improvements.
Welcome back to our interview series happening today at the ATxEnterprise, part of the ATx Singapore. And with me today, I have Saikat Mitra, who's the Chief Customer Engagement Officer at Cerillion, a leading BSS player. We are excited to have you with us today.
Thanks to invite me for this series. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Saikat, I think you've spent the last 30 years in the BSS domain. That's a very, very long time. I think you basically would have seen the entire evolution journey of BSS, which I must say, BSS was very different when it started to what it is now. Please do share with us, how this journey has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling you a few minutes back. So what I have seen is the evolution from the prepaid services to the current trend of beyond connectivity. Basically, operators are looking at not only giving a SIM and expecting that they will charge based on the SIM usage, but it's all about providing digital solution providers, giving a different aged kind of customer experience, as well as ensuring that things like churning of customers, giving the actual digital services to the end customer. These are some of the trends that we see over the last 30 years.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a lot. I would say that's a lot that has happened, and it's quite transformative, in terms of how the BSS solutions themselves have evolved and are evolving so fast. So, at the center of, this BSS, we know that it's an enabling technology. Okay, it basically essentially is a software that enables all these processes. But what operators are focusing on is that how these technologies deliver their CX goals.
Correct.
Because customer experience is at the center of a lot of conversations. Not only at the show, but wherever we go, we see that that's a huge focus area, right?
Absolutely.
So, what are some of the CX trends that have a huge implication in how subscribers are being managed, how they are being charged, how the services are being tailored?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I would like to highlight on the CX area that we are focusing on at Cerillion is giving a kind of an omni-channel experience. So, for example, when you walk into your store and you want to buy, let's say, a prepaid or a postpaid connection, the experience that you're getting while you're interacting with the let's say agent, you get interested on something, then you go back and then you want to browse something in your web as a self-care module, and then you say, okay, this is something I saw there. You don't have to start again new. You basically, the experience goes from interacting at the sales agent with the sales agent at the shop to the doing it at your own in your house, and to again walking past a mall, and then you want to I decide, okay, now I need to buy this. So on your mobile app, you basically don't have to again restart it again. You maybe you have already selected what you want to buy in your shopping cart, and then on the way maybe to your house, you just select, okay, now I need to kind of buy this. So the entire experience of entering a store, using your own sitting at your home, and then going on a mobile device, the entire experience should be one and the same, right? And that's our primary focus, that you can enter through one channel. A customer can enter through one channel, but then actually you render the service in a different channel. So the experience is kind of a total experience when it comes to an end customer like me buying a service from an operator. So our focus, because we are basically a monetization engine, right? So what we are focusing on is to ensure that the experience is uniform, and when the customer actually buys a product or gets a service, he's basically happy that because he has gone through the entire life cycle of having an idea to buy something to actually buying it, right? So that's the one of the main focuses that we have is of giving a customer an omni-channel experience. So all the channels, all the interaction points to the end customer is something that we focus on to ensure that it's a kind of an intuitive way that we ensure that the person is interested but actually gets the service. That's the most important part, right? So that's one area that we are continuously focusing on to ensure that we give a uniform experience to the end customer.
And I think it's very important because people access services through different mediums and then in different places through different devices, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to make sure that maybe they have left a message via WhatsApp, via the official WhatsApp channel, and then they go to the chatbot on your website, and then they are leaving another message. So they would like to see that the operator has the past records, and and it's personalized. Whatever they receive, they don't have to start the journey again.
Yes, and that's a good word you use, of personalization, because I just want to kind of shift a little bit on the omni-channel to another area which is of interest, I'm sure. What we have seen, you talked about 30 years of evolution, right? So what I have seen is that the traditional communication service providers, like I said in the beginning, they're moving to digital space, meaning that a communication service provider is not only giving connectivity these days, they are also providing, let's say, fixed broadband services. They are providing OTT services, right? So when I am an end customer, let's say I have a postpaid connection, but I also watch TV in my house, right? So I have an OTT with some player. Then I also have a fixed broadband. So if you look at me as a customer, I am actually having a lot of services I'm taking from the operator, and the same operator is actually providing the service. So it's all about having a converged look at a customer rather than looking at a standalone, I am giving a connectivity service and I'm giving a fixed broadband service. So a lot of focus in the last several years, and for Cerillion, this is one of the unique selling point, is that what we focus on is the real convergence. I think convergence of experience across the different services that the customer is getting from the communication service provider. This is currently a digital service provider, right?
Yes.
So that is another area that I think also the customer experience aspect comes in, because if I am going to a retail store to buy a fixed broadband service, I am able to be identified as a person who already has a postpaid connection, which sounds very trivial, but actually, if you look at it, not every provider is able to correlate me as Saikat being okay. This guy is already he's
already a subscriber
of my service, right? So I might get certain incentive to actually buy the second or the third service, right?
Yes, exactly.
That is one, and also you'll be able to bundle services. So, for example, if I am buying a fixed broadband, I might be getting maybe first 100 minutes of free talk time, or data of 500 GB, which is free, right? So these are the things that I think we do a differentiating factor in comparing ourselves with our competitors, because what we provide is basically one platform for an operator where you can actually monetize any service you are providing. It's not only about telco services. We are also in the enterprise space, wholesale, or even we go one level, completely different kind of business is, for example, smart cities. We have a very big deployment in Egypt, where we have done it with the government of Egypt, where all the services provided by the smart cities actually monetized through our platform. So basically, at the end of the day, any monetization of any service that an operator or an organization is doing, we can monetize that. That's the experience we want to provide to the service provider.
And I can see, how important it is now that operators are going beyond connectivity to add everything that they can add, from wallets, cloud gaming, content services, everything, right?
Absolutely.
So imagine if everything is treated as a standalone customer, but it's the same person.
Same
Persona. And then you don't have any insights as well, because you are managing each, using isolated channels. They're so fragmented, right? So now with this service, what happens is that you get to see, on your radar all the services being consumed. And if someone has propensity to add on to other services, you would know that you know what to cross-sell.
Absolutely. And one last point I want to say is, we talked about convergence. Last point on the customer experience is across B2C and B2B. So, for example, I am sitting in my house. I am using my fixed broadband services, so I'm a consumer, right? I go to the office. My organization has an enterprise connectivity with, let's say, a provider in Singapore, let's say Intel. So I will be leveraging the services that Singtel is providing to my organization Cerillion in Singapore, whereas the same customer is having a different experience as a B2C customer sitting at home. So what I'm saying is the persona goes beyond only a retail or a consumer or an enterprise. It's even across.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of this.
That's a convergence there.
That's
as
the conversion that
the
as well.
same person comes in as a different,
Yes.
as under different classification,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I am in the office, I am Saikat, but I am Saikat via Cerillion to Singtel. Whereas I'm sitting in my house, I'm direct Singtel customer of my fixed broadband services. So I mean, this is where I think the convergence is at a different level altogether. And this is something that we are living every day. So we have customers who are leveraging this convergence across these three parts I just explained to you. So.
No, it's very important because a lot of people assume that this would already be in place. But
Yes.
if you
Sounds
really
very trivial, right?
Yeah, it's trivial. Like, wouldn't you know what other services your customers have?
Absolutely.
No, you do need such robust and comprehensive systems to enable that, right?
Exactly.
And arriving to the point is not very easy. You need the right software, and that's BSS. That's the BSS job there, and you need that suite of solutions to enable these different modules. So you mentioned about the omni-channel experience, right? And you want to make sure that all the services that one person consumes are there, and now you want to make sure that if this person goes again and consumes from the same operator but through a third party like his maybe his employer, you need visibility into that as well.
Absolutely. I need to recognize this person from different aspects. Right?
Yes, that's very interesting. I guess like today at this show, they've seen new conversations about AI. I think there's a lot of mention about agentic AI capabilities, and CX is one area where they say that AI or agentic AI capabilities will make a real difference. Okay, especially, a lot of complex tasks can now be done by machines. And I guess some of the main areas like fraud detection, fraud management, that's one thing. And then we have a retention. We need to know who's going to churn very soon. And then the other thing is campaign management and all that. So, from Cerillion's point of view, what are some of the key areas where AI or agentic AI capabilities will make a huge difference?
Absolutely. So I think you have, maybe if you don't talk about AI these days, it's like you're not covering.
It's like it's incomplete.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to move away from, let's say, even a year back where it's more of an experimentation that we were doing with AI. But now I think we have moved to a state where operators are actually trying to see how operationally it is helping. Like you gave good examples of churn management, fraud management. So at Cerillion, what we have embraced is we have a strategy wherein our AI is kind of inbuilt in the product that we are let's say the evolution is happening, right? So we are not married to any particular large language module. So what we have kept it simple is that we are able to embrace, if operators are having a LLM of their choice, we can connect to them, or we have of course our own let's say language models that we support. Now coming to the actual implementation of AI, when we see at operators, they're interested to know, as you rightly said, what are the use cases actually, what is going to help me? Is it going to help me retain my customers? Will it be helping me to sell more? Will it be helping me to improve my overall TCO? So we have defined a set of, I would say, around 20-25 use cases. And each of these use cases is something which when we go and talk to the customer, I'll give an example. For example, if I say, okay, at this moment, I am let's say I'm Singtel as an operator here, and one of my competitors here is having a product which is actually doing very well in the market. Now I come back and I see this product, how I wish I could design something and quickly launch, right? So what is possible through our, let's say in this use case, is using our catalog. What you can do is you can basically upload the image and say, you know what, this is something which my competitor has done. I want to give it 10% free, 10% cheaper. And this is the type that I am looking at as an add-on to what, because I'll be a converged stack. I'll be able to give something even more attractive than what my competitor is doing. So you just talk to the catalog, upload the image, and within seconds, your product is basically modeled, which earlier used to take probably weeks. Right?
Yes.
And then you publish that to your downstream system, of course, with certain approvals. The entire, let's say, launch service, which typically used to take weeks and months, you can actually don't do it within a week. I'm saying within a week because I'm being also very practical. I will not say it will be done overnight, but you of course need certain provisioning and
Yes,
the
exactly.
publishing of this catalog. So we see product modeling, product catalog is one area which is of focus. The other area that you talked about is the aspect of managing frauds and managing revenue assurance, for example. These are some things which we use certain agents, wherein, for example, if we, like you said, that we see certain trends, this customer is kind of, very high chance of getting churned. This is something which is inbuilt throughout the agents that is there based on certain actions that they're doing. We prompt to our analytics so that the customer agent who is actually dealing with the customer on a day-to-day basis understand, okay, these are the 5 customers which are high probability of churn. Now I need to work on this 5, whatever is your, kind of sales or marketing strategy. But then you can see it in your dashboard that okay, these 5 customers are the customers who are in my region very high probability of churn. So this is something that we have inbuilt through our analytics engine, which is something which is part of our portfolio. So likewise, there are, like I can say 20, 25 of these cases that when we go and talk to the operator, they want to hear exactly these 20 use cases, which will, if tomorrow, if I have to look at churn management, okay, I know that this is an area where I can get some benefit, right? So I think it's all about use cases, back end, whether you're using, agentic AI, using MCP server, whether you're using A2A. Frankly, it's more of an architectural discussion, which is important. But from a business standpoint, I think it's more about focusing on actual operational improvements, business improvements, rather than talking about experimentation. I think that's beyond that stage now. Right?
It's a great, I mean, talking about experimentation is great when you want to explore new ideas and so forth. But when it comes to deploying, when it comes to thinking about the ROIs and all that, people need to know the exact outcomes that will be delivered. And I think it usually goes back to the dollars and cents. So whether it augments revenue, whether it drives cost savings, increases efficiencies. So that's something that we have to demonstrate. To telcos and also make sure that the subscribers
in a language they understand.
Benefit.
In a language they understand.
Yes, exactly. You rightly pointed, because sometimes we have complex AI modules that you can plug into the like if you have an orchestration platform, you can plug it in and then you automate a lot of decisions and so forth. But then the question is, how much happier would my customers be when I deploy this, right? So I guess, that's really interesting. And, one last thing that we want to know is that, Cerillion is a global company. And, you have customers across the globe. Do you see regional, region-specific trends, in terms of BSS deployments? Like, maybe there are some modules deployed more in some areas, or, or the phase of deployment. Do you see any such trends?
Interesting question. So, I mean, if you ask me, because, I have been fortunate to work with several customers in different regions. So one common thing that I can talk about is one that we spoke about is the convergence, right? Because standalone providing services to a certain set of customers, B2C, B2B, all operators globally are looking at convergence as one focus topic. If you talk about region specific, I think what we see a trend is, for example, big deployments. Normally BSS versus deployment is like you have a cycle of about 7 to 10 years, but then you cannot wait for 10 years to actually, if you have something which helps you to, like you said, some business improvement, whether it's TCO, whether it's revenue generation or it's customer experience, there are standalone deployments that we see, which is like adjacent to the existing BSS OSS deployments, where they're specifically focusing on, for example, go-to-market strategies, or to say, okay, how do I operationally improve my, I don't know, let's say subscriber provisioning part, or there are areas where, we're looking at, like you talked about channels, right? So this is something which can sit on top of an existing BSS, because in Cerillion, what we have spent a lot of our energy last 3 to 5 years is to focus on standardizing the APIs that we have, which talks in between these modules, right? So each of those modules are standalone, deployable. So which means that by design, we are able to support a multi-vendor ecosystem wherein operator can decide, okay, if I am, let's say my catalog is not, it's like for last 10, 20 years, I'm using the same catalog. I need to take care of rationalizing the products. I want to focus on certain converged products or like some broadband products based on the market. you can just take our enterprise product catalog, and it works very seamlessly across the different touch points the catalog has with the downstream, systems, or if the channels, or it's charging, billing, whatever, right? Provisioning. So that's the trend we also see, that certain areas that operators are looking at in certain regions. For example, APAC is a good example, where there are large deployments with tier one players, where they have huge multi-million, hundreds of $1 million they have spent on, but they don't want to touch that, but they want to actually get some improvements on certain areas.
On certain areas. And I think that answers the question very well, because despite differences in regions or between operators in the same region or within the same country, you have, sometimes you cater for MVNOs versus MNOs, and those are different areas altogether,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But having this modular approach allows you to, to provide that level of flexibility. You can just plug in 1 or 2 modules. You can just, and you definitely can hold on to what you have already invested. And I think that's something that keeps organizations agile, and they can speed up, the go-to market. Right?
Absolutely, agility is the way forward.
Yes, exactly. And I guess, Saikat, with that, we've come to the end of our interview today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me for this. Really, really
nice
meeting
speaking to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.